Club from Club Chimera Martial Arts, and I'm here today to talk to you about progress in martial arts and self-protection. I've recently come back from Denmark for the second time to deliver my When Parents Aren't Around self-protection program for children and Vagabond Warriors cross-training martial arts program for seniors and also for some kids as well. What my impression was when I went back to Denmark, the last time I went was in 2013, I'm recording this now in 2019, was that there had been a huge amount of progress made amongst the various different martial artists. They really were a credit to their association styles and to their teachers. There's definitely a large of that is down to Jan Drachman, who runs Hinrup Karate and has got people together to train. But I'm seeing similar things happen over in the UK with the likes of Lee Mullen, Terry Monksfield, and of course Ian Abernethy, where we're getting a drawing together of different martial arts styles. And I have to say, a lot of it is actually happening in the traditional world. I'm seeing what I would describe as progressive traditional martial artists. I don't come from the traditional field anymore. I did train in the traditional world, but I wouldn't call myself a martial arts traditionalist or a traditional martial artist. I would call myself very much a modernist in the martial arts world. But nevertheless, I've ended up teaching a lot of traditional martial artists, and I'm delighted to see that so many of them do not conform to what is still the mainstream mould in traditional martial arts and what is some people have regarded as the classical martial arts, but certainly what conforms to still mainstream martial arts. The people that I've been working with lately are open-minded. They are very much into pressure testing, willingness to pressure test, not just the physical side of it, which of course is very important and was a massive paradigm shift in the 1990s, what with the Jeff Thompson real combat system and obviously the beginning of mixed martial arts via the Ultimate Fighting Championship, but also a willingness to pressure test and be critical and to apply critical thinking to soft skills and going all the right back to coaching. And this really is the point of this particular vlog. I've seen a huge increase in good coaching. I've seen genuine progress. And the best thing about it is I'm seeing a lot of changes happen for the good. People are not going to appeals to novelty. They're very wary of that. They're not just adopting new methods just because they're new. Likewise, they're not clinging to the appeal to antiquity or appeal to tradition. So those two logical fallacies, there's very much more of a skeptical eye on those things creeping in. But still, people are very aware of applying CPD, continued professional development, in their training and teaching. And we're seeing more and more of this all the time. The danger, of course, is whether we end up forming our own bubble and just training amongst ourselves. But I'm not seeing that happen at the moment. I'm seeing people looking right outside their field of experience, getting new information, getting new education, and just being aware of how mainstream sport and activities are being conducted, something which is often segregated a lot from martial arts practice, or at least martial artists seem to cherry pick from that side of it and only did it as much as would allow for their clubs to have a degree of respectability, but really didn't get into trying to adopt things such as the scientific method and all other really effective, useful things that will end up just making martial arts so much better and making self-protection so much better. So I'm seeing a lot better coaching altogether. So that's my overall review of what's going on, and how that applies to me and how I'm teaching with Club Chimera Martial Arts is that I'm finding that as I'm coaching new teachers, both in the UK and abroad, they are taking my ideas and they're not just implementing them and testing them and putting them into the clubs. They're reporting back to me with what they're finding works and what they're finding doesn't work so well, and they're also coming up with their own ideas. They're running with that ball. What I always felt was the biggest tribute I could give to the best people who taught me, people like Mo Teague and Jeff Thompson, who were huge inspirations to me, was to take what they had taught me and expand upon it. Really run with that proverbial ball that they'd thrown to me, and come back to them with new ideas and sometimes questions and things like that. And it's just gone on to develop so much in my own way of coaching. Obviously, I've also learned how to improve with mistakes. That's a really important thing that I put across in a lot of my teaching, is that pretty much my main programs, Vagabond Warriors and When Parents Aren't Around, two of the programs I'm most proud of and pretty much the cornerstone of my wider seminar teaching and course teaching, that they are based on mistakes. They are based on the mistakes I have made in my own coaching experiences, and also mistakes I've seen other teachers do, and I've done my best to address, and questions I've answered. So that's really come on really well. And I've also developed things within seminars and courses, and the best thing is that this is still happening. I delivered When Parents Aren't Around to Denmark in its most advanced form to date, mainly because I was given the mandate by Jan to deliver a improved course from the previous one. Not the last one wasn't any good, but he was expecting to see changes, expecting to see what progress I'd made with it. He's a scientist. He's very much of a scientific mind, so his natural view of things, I think, is that stuff must move on, stuff must progress, which is a great balance for someone who is essentially a traditional karateka. And I had that mandate to start with, but what was great was that things had moved on so much. When I look back at the old PowerPoint display I'd given his class back in 2013, I noticed that the fundamental principles were still there, as I have been teaching them to other teachers in the UK. The fundamental principles still remain, but but we're drilling down more now. We're finding more effective ways to teach children, and we're also addressing soft skills that had come in the form of other questions previously. So things like the bystander effect, for example. I'm not going to go into that right now. That's a topic unto itself, and it's a very major topic, I always think, when we're teaching self-protection. But the bystander effect and understanding how to defeat the bystander effect in self-protection is very, very important, and now makes a fundamental part of the training. In recent times, I've discovered things like breaking the fence down. I don't literally mean breaking the fence down, but breaking down the teaching of the fence, understanding how to teach personal space to both to children, but also to people in general, getting across this fundamental principle of preemption and when to be preemptive, and getting that nailed down first before you start articulating a means for sensing trouble coming forward by using your hands, or some form of boundary, by just getting that instinctive, defeating hesitancy, defeating decision making, if you like, getting that instinct to be proactive when a threat comes into your personal space. So we've started to make more sophisticated training methods that have become more effective to convey this message and to train this before we even get on to actually teaching the fence. That's one development that I've discovered through not just my own teaching, but actually getting feedback from other instructors who are teaching these methods. The other thing is has been anti-grappling. I've come to the conclusion in recent times that far from what I used to believe, that although very much a pro grappler and very much a person who believes that grappling is an important part of combative training, an important part of the backup plan in self-defense, I've come to the conclusion that grappling needs to be brought further forward in self-defense training, into the hard skills side of training, because Matthew Evans used to say to me, in order to teach anti-grappling, you need to teach grappling, and I don't think I ingested that properly. I don't think I took that on board fully to what he meant. And now, as I've been trying to teach more effective anti-grappling techniques, I've discovered that I've taken for granted that people are going to have a primal grappling knowledge. Everybody does have it in there, but it benefits them, and it certainly makes a lot of the drills safer if both participants do know how to grapple. It doesn't do any harm. It doesn't turn the whole exercise, it doesn't turn the people who you're training into instinctive grapplers when they should be striking to get away from a threat. But when you are teaching anti-grappling, you need that foundation, you need that base, and that needs to be down. So I've started bringing that forward. And again, there's a lot more I can talk about the presence of grappling with effective training for youngsters that I'm sure I'll cover another time. But in conclusion, I've had a fantastic year this year. It's probably one of the best years for Club Chimera Martial Arts in terms of its development, its outreach and awareness. And I've been put in contact with so many forward-thinking teachers who've either recruited me to teach them and to help teach them, and then they've fed back really useful information that I in turn have been able to bring back into courses, and also people who I've just plain learned from this year. So if anything, this vlog is a discussion on continued professional development. We all need to do it, and to keep going forward with the progress. There has never been a better time to train in martial arts and self-protection, I don't think, now. And I say that a good decade on from when Shihan Chris Rowan said it on my Cross Training in the Martial Arts DVD series back in 2005. He was celebrating a pure traditionalist. It was, and I was really glad I had him part of my DVD series. He was the pure traditionalist who was telling his fellow students and other traditionalists to embrace martial arts cross training. That martial arts cross training was always a part of traditional martial arts training, and certainly part of his own martial arts cross training and part of his teachers' martial arts cross training. So but he said that now, what with the access now, but meaning then 2005, with the access to so much information and so many different teachers, and with so many different schools now open themselves up to cross training, now is the best time to train in martial arts. Well, now I'd say it's even better, and the reason why it's even better is that because we've moved on, and now we've got the presence of more critical thinking with that cross training. So the open-mindedness is not leading to an empty head, so to speak. There isn't a belief that everything is equal in terms of teaching and quality. We know that there is so much out there, there's so much good stuff out there, and so many good teachers out there, and so much good information, and we can move forward with it in a really, really productive way. So happy training. If you've enjoyed this vlog, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, and check out the Club Chimera Martial Arts website. That's clubbchimera.com, and I look forward to hearing from you in the future. Thank you.